Guys, welcome back to another episode of Atlas Survival Shelters. I hope you're doing great today. Guys, if you like watching my videos, make sure you like, subscribe, and as always, share my videos. But guys, keep coming back to my channel. I talk about bomb shelters, survival, prepping. I also tell you about good companies, bad companies, good news, bad news, and I've got a lot of good stuff coming up. But today's video is about Bill Gates and all his millions of dollars he has spent on bunkers. Now, Bill Gates is a guy like me. He's rational, he's not a cuckoo, neither am I. But no, Bill Gates has been talking so long about the things that really scare him. You got to think about this. When the richest man of the world is worried about something and he's spending his own money, and the rumors are tens of millions of dollars on some of these lavish bunkers that he's got, you better listen, because that man is on the inside and you are on the outside. Trust me, he's part of the Bilderberg Group. He's part of the New World Order. That man is on the know, okay, in the know. And I mean, even more than President of the United States. President doesn't get invited to the Bilderberg Group and all that stuff, but Bill Gates does. Okay, so anyway, so all these articles are on the news. So if you guys want to have some fun, get on Google and start Googling these things. I'm going to read some of these articles. I want you to look at them. If you don't think that he's worried about that, look at this article. It says, Bill Gates and America's millionaires are building underground survival bunkers. Here's another one. How scared should I be? A contagious disease will wipe out humanity. Here's another one. Billionaires are preparing for the apocalypse. Do they know something you don't know? Another one. Bill Gates fears plague that could wipe out humanity. Here's another one. Bill Gates thinks a coming disease could wipe out or could kill 30 million people within 6 months and says we should prepare for it as we do war. And these articles are everywhere, guys. I mean, I'm just not making this stuff up. But you know, the one that I like the most is this one here that was printed by News Punch. And I'm going to read it to you because he actually quotes me in this one. I like this. It says, Bill Gates builds nuclear bunker, tells staff to leave the country. Bill Gates urgently ordered the construction of a nuclear bunker at his Seattle property and has advised long-term employees to leave the United States before the following weekend, says a member of the staff. He didn't say how long we should be away, but he said we should definitely leave before the following weekend, said Mr. Hall, a pool technician who says he watched the construction of the nuclear bunker and explains it is large enough to comfortably hold a handful of people only. Besides the nuclear bunker, several smaller tunnels and bunkers were built underneath the main residence, connecting them up to a small underground fortress. Explaining the bunker has entrances and exits large enough for vehicles, as well as, listen to this here, guys, escape tunnels, decontamination rooms, Swiss-made air purifiers, and bulletproof hatches. Where have we ever heard that before? So, guys, when you get a bunker, make sure you got escape tunnels, decontamination rooms, the Swiss-made air filtration system, and bulletproof hatches. Otherwise, your shelter is not going to be the shelter you dreamed of. See what I mean? Told you I said that before somewhere. Bill Gates apparently approved of the final construction only after being repeatedly assured he and two others would survive in the underground structure in the event of a 500,000-pound blast, which is half of a megaton. Guys, let's listen to Bill Gates in this interview. Let's hear the words from his own mouth.
Fortunately, there's very few things, and most of them are very low probability. Some big volcanic explosion, gigantic earthquake, asteroid. At least in the nuclear case, you've got to say we take it quite seriously. We budget a lot of money, have a lot of people who think about nuclear deterrence, and I'm very glad that work's being done, and I rate the chance of a nuclear war in my lifetime as being fairly low. I rate the chance of a widespread epidemic far worse than Ebola in my lifetime is well over 50%. Basically, when you talk about drugs, you can talk about small molecules or talk about these complex biological protein-like things, of which there's a subclass called antibodies. Antibodies are the molecules that the immune system naturally builds to attack disease. Today, the idea that somebody says, oh, here's an antibody, make a lot of it, make it very quickly, that's right on the cutting edge. And the Ebola epidemic showed me that we're not ready for a serious epidemic, an epidemic that would be more infectious and would spread faster than Ebola did. This is the greatest risk of a huge tragedy. This is the most likely thing by far to kill over 10 million excess people in a year. We don't need to invest nearly what we do in military preparedness. This is something where less than $1 billion a year on R&D, medical surveillance, standby personnel, cross-training the military so they can play a role in terms of all the logistics here. This can be done, and we may not get many more warnings like this one to say, okay, it's a pretty modest investment to avoid something that really, in terms of the human condition, would be a gigantic setback.
Guys, I hope you're enjoying today's video. Hey, listen, the USA could be in a world of hurt really soon. If that happens, don't plan on going to the grocery store and buying any food. You better stock up on your survival food. I don't care who you get it from, but if you want to get the brand that I use and the brand that I like and I'm going to trust my life to, go to this drop page that I've had designed for you, shelterwithatlas.com. Discounts are already built in. They also have the Mountain House brand and all the survival supplies you'll need. When the richest man in the world has so much worry that he's worried about a plague, you better start worrying too. And I'm telling you guys, this is realistic. It sounds like something out of a movie. Matter of fact, talk about a movie. Let me show you a little clip here from a show called Life After Armageddon. This is a movie that was made like 10 years ago or 8 years ago. But it's a movie about what would happen if a plague hit the world, and basically about 95% of the people would die. Okay. And what we go to basically, if you're worth $100 million and this world gets hit by a plague, your money's gone. It doesn't matter how much success or money you got. Your worth is what you can carry in your pockets or what you can bury in your bunker. So the mentality of so many people is, I've got $10 million. I better put some of it in the ground because it's an insurance policy. It's not a matter of if you're going to need it. It's just a matter of when your family's going to need it. Now, we all want to not have it happen in our lifetime. Now, I'm 57 years old, and I thought I would never see the things that I am now seeing in this country. America has fallen apart in the last 10 years. It's amazing what I'm seeing now. I just can't believe it. My dad would be rolling over in his grave. So I can only imagine what the next 10 years is going to be like. It's going to be sad. But guys, the writing's on the wall. If you're watching this video, you need to think realistically. Now, I don't want you to live in fear. I don't even live in fear. I'm probably one of the most prepared preppers in all of the world, not just America. I have redundancy after redundancy after redundancy. I have 20 water filtration systems. I've got pallets of food out in the shop. I've got pallets of water. I've got more guns. I could equip a couple platoons with guns, and I'm talking a couple guns each. I have so much ammunition. It's like no one's probably more prepared than me. And if you are out there and you're more prepared than me, don't send me a message, because that means you're a smart prepper. You don't tell people what you got. And if you told me, I wouldn't tell anybody anyway, because I don't remember shit. But I don't want to know where you're at. I don't want to know about you. But you got to live your life. Now, 1 minute or 1 hour of every single year, you all are preppers, and you don't even know it. When you sit down and you read your insurance policy on your house and you write a check out for $3,000, $4,000 for the year, you are being a prepper right then and there, because you are preparing for a disaster, whether it be a tornado, a wildfire, a flood, or something. You are preparing and you are paying money. The sad thing is, every year you pay it over and over again. And then you go to State Farm or your insurance agency and you write a check to the car company and you're buying the insurance for your car. You are preparing for a disaster. That's why you're doing it. And then you guys have health insurance on top of that, and that's very expensive. And you're preparing your body to be able to pay a bill. So what's the difference in having a shelter to prepare you to keep you alive? There's none. There's no difference. So guys, if anyone ever thinks anyone's crazy for having a bunker, the person who thinks they're crazy is actually the crazy one. Guys, it's the only insurance that you're going to have against the disasters that nobody wants to talk about. If you're a billionaire and you're watching this video, you already have a bunker. okay? If you're a multi-millionaire and you're watching this video and you don't have a bunker, you better get your shit together real quick, okay? And if you're an average American and you figure, I can't have a bunker because only millionaires can have bunkers, you're wrong. You can have a bunker too. That's why I created the NATO series of bomb shelters. These are shelters that are built into the house, and they start, believe it or not, under $10,000. So if it's just you or you and your dog or you and your wife, you could have a small NATO safe shelter in your garage. Just add it and it would double as a tornado shelter, as a fallout shelter, whatever it may be. But guys, you can be a prepper. All you have to do is have a place to have your shelter. So we want your shelter because we're talking about plagues here in this particular video. You want your shelter to have an NBC air filtration system. That means nuclear, biological, and chemical. So what we're talking about today is biological. If it's an airborne plague, the air system in the shelters that I sell you and build for you will protect you from every known biological matter on Earth right now. Chemicals, I'm not so worried about. Now, if you're near a chemical plant, there was a big explosion or released a lot of chemicals, that's when the C of the NBC, nuclear, biological, and chemical, comes into play. So not many of us are worried about that. But it's good to know that your shelter is an all-disaster shelter, and it will protect you from fallout, biological, and chemical. And that's what I make. So this is why I make my shelters airtight. So those people who are watching this video, I'm sure, and are not making their shelters airtight, they're idiots, okay? They're going to let the plagues in. They're going to let smoke in. They're going to let gases into your bunker. So, guys, this is why Atlas makes its shelters all airtight and gas tight and waterproof, and in some cases watertight, okay? Now, as you know, if you've watched my channel, there's several types of shelters I make. I make round, square, monolithic, concrete, Quonsets, multi-plate. I do all types of different shelters. So there are different shelters because there's different things that people want to be protected from. Now, if you only want to be protected from a tornado, all you need is a tornado shelter. There's no fun or frills in having a tornado shelter, and there's 1,000 people that make tornado shelters. But if you want to be protected from a tornado and then a biological attack and then maybe a home invasion or a wildfire, this is why you would call somebody like me, because I make shelters that are on steroids. If you just want a tornado shelter, call one of the guys in Oklahoma or something that make nothing but tornado shelters. But I'm the right guy for you if you're watching this video. So anyway, so the shelters start, and the one that I am doing kind of well with right now is the concept of building the house on top of the shelter. So this particular shelter right here is called the Nato. And the Nato is designed to go underneath the house. And the reason I call it Nato is because so many people are turning it into a wine cellar or into a gun room as shown here, or they could just turn it into a regular bunker like I show right here. So guys, having a shelter under the house is very fun, it's very cool, and in the world we live in, it's very practical. And with a starting price of around $20,000-$25,000, having a shelter doesn't break the house. So you regular people who are building just a regular house in Texas for $200,000, you can spend the money and have a shelter now. I have made it to where shelters are not going to break your bank account. If you have an existing house and you want to add a shelter in the backyard, the same shelters work in the backyard. It's just not as fun because having it in the house with a secret entrance or a little sliding kitchen counter that you go down inside, or behind a false wall like this image here. Imagine this, you go behind this false wall and there's a shelter back there. Now that is cool. Guys, you got to admit it. We all want that. I mean, what red-blooded American doesn't want a house with a secret passage to a secret bunker underground? I do. I mean, that's why I'm going to build me a new house and put all these bunkers in it. But guys, think about doing a shelter and thinking about doing it right. And when you buy a shelter from Atlas Survival Shelters, we do it right. We're not making our own air systems. We're buying air systems from Israel, Switzerland, Finland, and these countries make these NBC air filtration systems that are very expensive, but they're military grade. And the best thing about most of them is if you lose the power, you have a manual crank, like the lady right here.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Totally. Oh yeah, it almost makes itself go. for sure.
So keep in mind the size of the shelter will determine the size of the air system, but you always want to have a redundancy on your air system. So if you lose power, you can operate it manually, and you got to always prepare for the worst. Okay, but as far as Bill Gates go, I don't know any facts about exactly how much he spent, but I've only read articles and heard rumors. But apparently his house in Seattle, I've seen gossip where he spent as much as $20 million building a fortified fortress. Now, if you're the richest man in the world, supposedly he built a bunker at every single house. So wherever he's at, he has got a bunker to get to. And that's the mentality you should have. People ask me like, well, where should I put my bunker? I was like, well, if you have the money, put a bunker in your backyard or in your house, and then maybe if you have the money and you have a ranch already or farm, put another bunker out there so you can bug out of the city and get out to that other bunker, and that would be your long-term bunker. But you want to have a bunker that you could be into in, let's say, 30 to 60 seconds. That is ideally how fast you need to get into your bunker. If a disaster is happening, you're like, I got 5 hours, I got to get to my bunker, and it's happening right there, you're screwed, guys. You got to be able to duck and cover, and you got to duck and cover in your bunker. So keep that in mind. So, I know the people who watch these videos, I see you guys in Europe and Australia and all around the country. I see kids and lots of ladies. And this is one of the facts you guys probably didn't know. About 60% of my customers are ladies. Yes, a lot of ladies are buying bunkers. Okay, they have that mother bear effect. So, it's kind of shocking, but now I just see that. Guys, do your investigative work. And when you choose a company, I want you to ask them things like this, like, where does your air system come from? How good is the paint on your shelter? Are the doors gas tight? Are the hatches bulletproof? Are they just made of for tornadoes? This will all determine the security of your shelter. Doesn't mean the shelter won't work. It just means make sure you're comparing apples to apples when you choose a bunker and get the best bunker that suits you. And if you want to build your own bunker, I'll be glad to supply you the air system, the air pipes, the hatches, whatever you may need. So guys, having a bunker is very fun. It's very cool. And I suggest you all guys look into it. And have a great weekend. Love you. See you on the next episode. And always, don't forget, like, subscribe, and share my video if you liked it, okay? Spread the word. Atlas is the one. See you guys later.